Okay.
Yeah.
I learn a lot about you from the little bit of, of contact we have. When you speak of potatoes, that was one of the most thrilling things I've heard all year, honestly, was did you know, Mum, to start a new garden, you can just sort of mow over what's there.
Yeah.
Don't care what it is. Don't care if it's weeds or grass or whatever. Throw down some potatoes, cover it with inches and inches and inches of mulch, whatever kind of mulch you have. And that's in the spring. And then in the fall, you dig up your potatoes and you've got a garden underneath.
Is that what you do, Greg?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I'm claiming a new space, I mean, if I've got a garden already claimed, I might stick them a couple inches in the ground because you just get better results. I might bury them wrist deep.
Mhm.
But yeah, if I'm don't have to do this so much anymore because I have a 2,500 square foot vegetable garden. I'm kind of at my limit for what, and I'm getting everything I need. I'm growing my garden for food, and I've got about as much food as I want to get out of my property. But yeah, if I have a new piece of property, which is just weeds or grass or whatever, and I want to turn that into a garden, I colonize that soil usually so let's say you just have some grass. A lot of people just have a lawn. Mow it down, put the potatoes right there, and then you put about anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of some sort of mulch. Hay is a good one, but I've used leaves, I've used seaweed, I've used lots of different things. You want to put enough mulch on top of the potatoes that it's still going to be there. It has to be, it can't all have broken down 90 days in, because your potatoes take anywhere from 70 to 90 days, depending on the variety, or more, depending on conditions and all, so on and so forth. So the potatoes have to stay covered. But what happens is that the potatoes will root in the soil. The mulch, remember, the potatoes aren't going to do anything for about 2 weeks. They're not going to do very much. They're going to slowly send roots in the ground for a couple weeks, and then they're going to start sending eyes up, and it'll find their way through that mulch, no problem. One advantage of this for early planting is that you've got some time. It's going to take the potato, let's say, 3 weeks to emerge, maybe even more, because you're putting like 8 to 12 inches of mulch on. So if you get a couple of frosts in the interim, it's no big deal. The soil's warm enough. It's above zero, let's say 5C, give or take. And even if the ambient air overnight gets down to zero, because you've got that thick, nice sort of like wool blanket on top, they're going to be all right. So if you time it right, I mean, a rule of thumb is you plant your potatoes when you see dandelion flowers, the first dandelion flower on your lawn. When you see that, you're totally safe with potatoes, even though you still might get a frost. Under that mulch should be all right. But what happens is that mulch smothers and kills out the grass. If you rake up your grass on your lawn, all the grass dies underneath a pile of raked up grass, right? If you mow your lawn. So all the grass dies that's underneath the potatoes. They're going to root into the soil there. All that grass becomes fertilizer. It gets broken down by soil organisms that live there, right?
Yeah.
And so they feed your potatoes. All of the roots, you think of your grass sod, it was like 4 inches of pretty good roots. All of that becomes like beautiful, dark organic soil over the course of that particular growing season. I've got videos showing before and after the results and that sort of thing, right? So in the August-ish, when you're digging these things up, the potatoes are grown, and all of that sod is this dark, rich soil, and it's ready for next year to plant whatever you want to plant there, carrots, tomatoes, whatever. So it's a great way to make a new garden, especially like later in the season where you've planted everything and you're running out of energy and you don't know what maybe you want to do a little bit more, but you don't want to work too hard. You can very easy. I got a video where I say how to make a potato garden 4x8 in 6 minutes. So in 6 minutes, and I got this sort of silly sort of music going, but in 6 minutes, I make a 4x8 potato garden using that approach.
Okay, so how do you hill the potatoes, or do you have to?
You don't hill the potatoes.
So you get a big crop?
Yeah, you get anywhere from 6 to 10 potatoes per seed. I even have a video called "You Don't Need to Hill Potatoes." So,
I've heard that.
So here's what's happening. You got the potato, and then you've got the eyes coming out of the potato, and you've got the new potatoes growing out of the base of those eyes. Now, because you've got the mulch, the reason you have to hill potatoes is because
to create roots.
if you don't have what am I trying to say? If you don't have your soil covered, so most people conventionally, you just have bare soil, right?
Yeah.
Now, all my gardens, I mean, people should know, your viewers should know, all of my gardens are mulched all year, all the time. The soil is never bare. But if you do things conventionally, you just have bare soil, right? People sort of love the look of beautiful bare brown soil. So you hill them up, and you're hilling them up because as the potatoes start producing,
Yeah.
they'll start popping out of the soil, and you can't have them exposed to the sunlight, so you have to hill them up. And also, it produces more water and
Yeah.
keeps the roots happy and that sort of thing. But when you have a mulch on top of the potatoes, as those new potatoes start appearing, the mulch just goes up because it's sort of interlaced together. It just rises, above the potatoes. Potatoes are rooted in the ground. They're getting all the water they need. Because you've got a mulch, there isn't the usual kind of evaporation that would normally happen, right? Because water runs along soil particles, and it evaporates from the soil to the air, and it gets drawn along the soil particles in that way, what you would call a soil solution. So by putting the mulch on top, you're sort of like putting a lid on a container, right? It still breathes, so the plant is getting the plant roots need air just as much as you or I need air, but it still breathes, but you're preventing the kind of evaporation that would happen with bare soil. And because all of that mulch can sort of just rise up as the potatoes start forming, the potatoes don't get exposed to the sunlight and turn green and become toxic and that sort of thing. So yeah, you don't need to hill them.
That's brilliant. I've got some guys out here. I can't wait till I'm going to send this to them and say, now listen to this and tell me what you think. Because I don't know, would it be different here where we've got such a lot of clay in the soil? I don't know. I got to find this out. This is really cool.
I've heard this before, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I got the idea from, I think it was Jeff Lawton, sort of Australian permaculture guru. And these guys are using this approach in Australia, New Zealand, places like that, especially Australia, where they have a shortage of water. And they developed all these techniques for growing things, potato-like things. I mean, they're growing sweet potatoes, the things that can handle the heat they have there. We've got potatoes that are more adapted to our cold climate here, but the same approach works.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's amazing. Okay, we haven't even begun to talk about extending the season yet.
Well, sure. Sure you have.
Ba-da-ba.